Hello, Chris Fisher here, week 11, with talking about Dominoes, Oreos, and Nokero. Question number one. Do you think it's wise for Domino's to stick to its traditional home delivery business model even when that's not the norm in a country? Yes, I believe they should. Their goal was to be the best pizza delivery company in the world, basically. And so if they take away their home delivery, then they're moving away from their goals. So I would say their home delivery is their forte, so to speak, and they need to continue to work with it and change other things in order to make it work, or change their goals. But with their goals being to be the best pizza delivery, they kind of have to stick with it. Question number two. Domino's and Oreos are successful global brands. How does Domino's focus on cultural differences and local differences? How does Oreos focus on cultural differences and local differences? First of all, with Domino's, they had several cultural differences to work through. One being the word pepperoni was not known in Japan, so they basically had to get rid of their pepperoni pizza, and they only learned this after many pizzas being returned because of the misunderstanding of the definition of pepperoni. But they also had other things to change. They added squid to a Japan menu. They added tuna and sweet corn in England, lamb and pickled ginger in India, black bean sauce in Guatemala. So they changed their menu a little, or they changed their toppings menu depending on their locale and the different cultural. I guess that would be more local differences. As far as cultural differences, in India they took pepperoni off their menu because of the respect for cattle. In the Philippines, they based their design on feng shui to be culturally sound because I guess the energy is very important there, and so they adjusted their layout to meet up with cultural standards. In the UAE, they had to adapt to special maps because of the multiple names for each street. So lots of cultural differences there for Domino's. As far as Oreos, they had to do a lot of different location differences. Like in China, they used less sugar because apparently China didn't buy the original Oreo recipe with lots of sugar. In Venezuela, they used milk chocolate instead of the cocoa powder to make their cookie crust. The size of the packaging even mattered. In foreign countries, selling in a small Quick Mart or little newsstand, it was on, what's the word? It wasn't very handy to sell the large packaging like what sells in the U.S. Other things they had to do is Oreo changed, rather than change their slogan or their marketing, they actually changed the name of who they partnered with. In China, they partnered with Kraft. In Canada, they partnered with Mr. Christie. In the U.S., they partnered with Nabisco. So they had to do a lot of that changing depending on who was established in the country at that time. And also a little bit in their marketing changed. Actually, we'll get into that in the next question. Next question is, how does the marketing mix for Domino's Pizza differ in various countries, and how does the marketing mix differ for Oreos in various countries? A lot of that has to do with what I just previously explained. For Oreos, it's less sugar in China, the milk chocolate instead of cocoa in Venezuela, the different packaging sizing. The marketing strategy for Oreos was, in some countries where the Oreos had not been before, they had to give their commercials with the kids teaching the adults rather than the adults passing down a tradition like what they have in the U.S. So they had to modify their marketing advertising that way. Dominoes had similar stuff. They all had the cultural differences. Obviously, we talked about earlier. They also had in England, Dominoes had the slogan, "One call does it all." Well, call meant house visit, so they had to change their slogan there. But as far as Domino's goes, all of for the majority of their ingredients and their order of operations and not offices, their storefronts were very similar throughout. So that part of their marketing mix did not change. Next question is, what lessons can we draw from Domino's and Oreo's videos that might be useful for other international businesses selling consumer goods? Some of the big ones are, make sure your definitions of your words and or ingredients mean what you want them to mean in the different languages. Make sure that the slogans mean what you want them to mean. You're going to have to check with different vernaculars and different cultural slang to make sure you're not sending a wrong message. Another thing is, with Domino's especially, they mentioned the fact that you need to change to the culture rather than expect the culture to change to you. So I think those are some big things. As far as Nokero, as you were watching the Nokero videos, what questions occurred to you? What are you curious or unsure about? The biggest thing for me was they tried, and their target clientele was low-income, poverty people. So their product would have to be extremely inexpensive in order to make it worthwhile for some of these places to purchase them or capable of purchase them. And also, you always have the hurdle of change. You know, they've been doing it this way with the kerosene forever, so that made it hard. Another question that I had was in one day, the kerosene equaling 40 cigarettes. To me, that seemed like a stretch. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it sounds just a little bit crazy to me that it's that much. I mean, it's possible, but that sounds exaggerated to me. B, what is your emotional response to the Nokero videos? Emotionally, I'm excited. They're doing a great thing. They're providing a green alternative energy. They're cutting emissions. They're helping out the lower income level rather than focusing on the high income level. I think they're doing a great thing. According to their videos, they're got green manufacturing practices. They got a green product. They're, like I say, I just think they're doing great. So my emotional response is, that's excitement. That's awesome. Keep going. Last question. How should Nokero promote its environmentally-friendly solar light bulbs to rural families living without electricity, or the bottom billion people in the world? What are some distribution and cultural challenges? Well, once again, focusing on the lower level income families, the poverty level, they're going to have to work really hard and make sure that their product is a direct replacement for whatever they're giving money up on. Another thing is, a lot of these, if they don't have electricity, chances are it's hard to ship there. So they're going to have shipping challenges and challenges delivering their product. So yeah, it's a great idea. It's a little bit difficult. Sorry for the length of this video. There's a lot to talk about. But anyway, I enjoy reading your responses, and have a great evening. Bye.